Hey guys, uh, it was just the correct amount of sunlight today, so I figured it would be inspiring to practice outside for a change instead of being a hermit. Um, I'm yet to report the results of that experiment, but I want to talk about something different. Uh, it's no big surprise that I'm a big fan of budget guitars. I think I've said that in many videos. But recently, I came across a saying that really resonated with me. Someone said, I can't recall who it was, but they said that a budget instrument isn't just a cheap instrument. A budget instrument is something that delivers twice of what you paid for, right? And that's true, right? If you buy a budget guitar and then you spend twice of what you paid for that guitar on electronics and tuners and this and that, then it's not a budget guitar anymore. It's pointless, in my opinion, right? So I believe the search for bare bones, good bare bones, is essential when you're looking for a budget guitars. It's something that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on to deliver the similar results as you would get from an instrument that was a lot more expensive. Now, which brings me to one of my favorite kinds of guitars, the Stratocaster, right? This is obviously not a Fender or a Squier. It's a company called Stagg, which has been there for a while. It's just not very popular within the YouTube circles. Thanks, Yogi. Thanks for sneezing in the middle of my video. It's all good, buddy. Don't choke on the grass. Okay. Why it's not that popular, I don't really know. They probably don't spend that much on marketing. Who knows? But the reason I bought this guitar was because of the bare bones, primarily. In a design aspect, just from a design aspect, it's superior to a standard Fender Stratocaster or a Squier Strat, even a Strat that might be 20 times the value of this guitar, potentially. And the reason I say that is because of a very vital thing that I look for in all guitars. I love upper fret access, guys. It's not, you need upper fret access. The frets are there. It's a longer scale, so they're intonated better, and I want to play those frets. And there's nothing I hate more, well, there are probably some things I hate more, but it really annoys me when I'm going anywhere past the 15th fret and the corner of that big, obnoxious neck heel is just digging into my palm. Not a fan of that. Fender doesn't do carved neck heels for a lot of the higher end modern models as well. They have the audacity to have literal models, guitars with Floyd roses with 21 frets and a big neck heel. Please make that make sense. Anyway, this guitar has a sculpted neck heel. Very simple design. It's just don't put the cornet there. That's it. That's all I need. And as a result of that, it's not the kind of neck, the upper fret access that you might get on an Ibanez, or even my Reigns guitar. It has a superior upper fret access because of the way the fretboard meets the body. And that's all well and good. I don't need that much access. I can make it work with this. I can make it work very well. It's comfortable, right? Playing a guitar should be a comfortable experience. It shouldn't be a fight all the time, right? And I'm usually fighting when I'm up here. So I know I've gone on off a tangent here, but yeah, it had this carve over here, and there isn't a lot of budget brands out there that do this. So once I saw that, I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna take this guitar. I ended up paying like $169 for this guitar, from a dealer in Reverb, but I did buy it brand new because this is a new guitar. The model itself is new. It also came with a roasted maple neck, which is great. And since I'm talking about the neck, I want to talk about the upgrades that I made to the neck. A lot of the budget guitars, they say that the neck has a satin finish. That is just code word for an unfinished neck. Okay, a lot of the budget guitars don't even have a proper finish on their neck. This one didn't either. And what happens when you don't have a finish is that it has a very grainy, inconsistent feel. It's nothing like a satin neck. So that's my AC coming on, so I'm probably gonna move closer to the camera. But what I did was I started off with I believe it was 600 or 800 grit sandpaper, and then I worked my way up to 5,000 grit sandpaper. People might say it's overkill. I don't think it is, because the result is such a smooth feeling fretboard, but it's not gloss, so it's not sticky. And then I ended up putting a wax kind of a finish on it, and it's great. It's a really nice feeling neck. It's a tad wider than what I would prefer on a Stratocaster, but it's not a like, you know, decision killer for me. I'm very comfortable with it. It came with a bone nut, I believe. Now let's talk about the frets. The great thing about the frets was that there were no dead spots, which is amazing, right? I suck at fixing dead spots. The frets were very nice and leveled, and there were no dead ends, no fret sprouts. It wasn't like hurting my fingers or anything like that. If Phil McKnight did a sock test, it would be a 515 on this one. But I did take some time and polish these frets. So I started with the StewMac fret rubbers. Again, a really nice investment because they last you forever. I got mine 2 years ago, and they're still like they're at an insanely, absurdly long amount of length left on those rubbers. So yeah, I used them. Again, started from like 400, went all the way up till 2,000 or whatever the upper limit is. Then I got a metal polish that's usually used for jewelry, and I hand polished these frets. And I can tell you that you don't need stainless steel frets. Don't fall for big fret. Don't fall for a big guitar. You don't need it. You're not a professional guitar player. You're just jamming away at home. You're not gonna wear away your nickel alloy frets. You just need to polish them nicely so they feel nice to play, which is what I did. Feels great, right? So I did that. Now, let's talk about the rest of the guitar. It did not come with all this gold hardware. It comes with standard chrome hardware. I happen to have this Wilkinson bridge lying around, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, why not? Right, let's put this on and see if it fits the aesthetic, and it did. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna switch out the rest of the hardware for gold as well, and I think the end result came out quite pretty. I'm quite happy with how this guitar looks. So one minor upgrade that I did to this already nice bridge is use shorter grub screws. Again, I'm a big believer in comfort when you're playing an instrument. If you're playing and jamming on an instrument for hours on the end, it's always nice to not fight the instrument or not to, make minor unnatural adjustments, right? For me, resting my hand on the bridge is something that comes to me naturally. So I don't want pointy grub screws, sticking out and digging into my palm. So for a couple dollars, you can just order shorter grub screws and put them in, and that makes a world of difference to me. A world of difference, right? Another thing I really like about this bridge is this bevel thing that it has on the side. It makes it very, very comfortable on your palm. Also, it's a push and tremolo. I always like that. Stays in place wherever you want it. So yeah, that's one upgrade I made. Now, when it came to the setup, it's really important to have the straight edge, I believe is what they call it, for your fretboard, and to have a radius feeler. Okay, again, these are things you can get for very cheap prices. I'm not even a luthier or anything like that. I have taught myself how to make these minor adjustments to my guitar so that I can save some money and reinvest the money that I would have been spending on setting up guitars by a professional and using them to buy more gear, right? It just makes sense to me. So I use that radius feeler to radius out the bridge. If it's 12-inch radius here and it's not a compound radius, you're goddamn sure you want 12-inch radius over here. Otherwise, the guitar is not going to feel right. I can tell this to you from experience. So you can find this out by trial and error, or you could just take my advice. It's up to you. Um, but I did use the radius feeler to make sure that the saddles were radiused properly, and I adjusted it to my desired height. I used the straight edge to make sure that the fretboard was straight, and the result was a very, very playable neck. So this was a little time consuming, I'm not gonna lie. Um, but I think it's worth it at the end. When it came to the bridge, however, one consistent problem that I kept running into was that when I was diving down and then coming back up, it wasn't coming back in tune. It is now, and I'll tell you why. So I lubricated all the points of contact. I did two things. So I did get the nut lube, as they call it, and I put it on the saddles, and I put it on the nut, and I put it on the gold string retainers as well. I did that, and another thing that I did was get vintage vintage springs. They're not the traditional springs, but the vintage ones. You can put all 5 of those on your back plate with the claw and your bridge, and the pressure just feels better. I was looking for a more vibrato style bridge that was going to stay all the way down, and those 5 saddles with the lower pressure kind of made that happen. So I'm happy about that, and now it comes back in tune. So moving on, that's one upgrade that I did. Now if you look at these tuners, look at them, they're pretty awesome. These are budget tuners, locking tuners from Amazon. It's a brand called KAISH, cash tuners. Really nice feeling tuners, locking tuners. Just saves time. I hate doing that little trick with the string post. I really suck at it. My windings always look ugly. So, I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna get some locking tuners on this one. And I got that, had some strap locks lying around, put that on. Then the pickups. I have not changed the pickups. They came with Alnico 2 pickups, I think, or Alnico 5. I think it's Alnico 5 in the neck and middle, and Alnico 2 in the bridge, which is pretty optimal, I think. What I did was adjust the heights. Naturally, my pick rests very close to the middle pickup, so I had to drop it. I didn't really have a choice on that because it just kept hitting my pick. So I dropped that, but then I did some minor adjustments. I checked the volume, right? I wanted the volume to be even, so I checked the volume and I did some minor adjustments on the treble and bass side of the neck and bridge pickups, and they sound great. I'm unamplified now, but you just have to take my word for it, I guess. Or maybe I'll do a cover with this guitar, and then you can hear it over there. But yeah, so I did that. What else am I leaving out? Oh yeah, I'm leaving out the blunder that I made. So everything was going great, and then obviously I got carried away. And I don't like gloss finishes on most guitars. I prefer a matte or a satin finish. So I took my sandpaper to the body of the guitar and tried to kind of dull out the finish. From a distance, I think it looks okay. But if you look closely, you can definitely see some minor like swirling and stuff like that, which is not ideal. So I did mess up on that instance, but other than that, I don't think I did anything else to it. Didn't really put a lot of money into this guitar, but it is truly a budget guitar because I managed to extract the value out of the guitar without spending a whole bunch of money in replacing parts. And I'm happy with it, and now I think I should go back to practicing my scales and enjoying the limited amount of sunlight. Cheers.